NiE, or Newspaper and Education contest annually for primary and secondary school students in Malaysia. And this workshop is basically to introduce you to the contest, to what it's all about, and how to go about participating in it.
What we're going to do this year is design a public service announcement. That's PSA for short. So when you hear saying PSA, it means public service announcement. It's a message through the media. Here's an example. You may have seen this in the Star. This is the Star's campaign, Brave Views, Bold Ideas, and this is a PSA message. Because a PSA message is meant to evoke response from people. You can do it in the poster form, so you can use your color pencils, your crayons, sketch shading, or if you're more into digital, then you can use your camera and Photoshop. Or if you're even more creative, we're allowing you to do a combination of both. We all know that you are Malaysian and you love your country. So we're giving you this opportunity to move the nation forward with your message. But what's a PSA? How do I put a message together? What kind of visuals do I use? What kind of colors evoke images and emotion? So hold your horses. Taylor's University will come in and talk to you about that, all right? Now, there are going to be topics that you can talk about. See, the whole theme is related to Merdeka Day, right? But your poster is going to be a strong character-building message on what it means to be united as a nation, right? How do we get our ideas? Just one example first, right? Picking the Star newspapers. Teenage crime on the rise. Selangor sees a 10% jump with children as young as 12 years old. Can you imagine you have friends who are committing crime? Why are they not in school? What's happening here? Are their parents not watching them? Okay, so these are the questions you ask yourself. You can also look at health issues. Recently, this made headlines. What happens to a nation that is unfit and unwell? These are some questions that you will have to answer. Now look at education. We have other topics, lots of topics about education. It's very close to your heart. But literacy is one issue that you might want to tackle. Another issue could be child labor. But of course in Malaysia, we're quite fortunate we don't have those kind of problems. But this is also another topic you can touch on. You can touch on community and charity or relationships, home. There's one story that was recently put in here that appeared in Star. HM alleged to have dragged student around school grounds. Okay. Racial integration. So what's your message out there? What do you want to tell people? This was recently in the opinion page where people talked about diverse contribution. Now there's a lot of talk about the history books that are being printed, right? Are we depicting history accurately? Okay, this is what we're talking about, critical thinking. All right? Are there questions out there that you want to ask the nation? Okay. Now the trick to doing this is staying current. Read the newspaper, read the internet, read magazines to find out what the hot topics are. You have to get your original template. Don't photocopy. You think of a creative name, then in 150 words, tell us what the concept of your poster or photo ad is. And then in another 150 words, why this message is important for Malaysia. Okay? Most importantly, we don't want to hear what your parents think about it, what your teachers thinking about it. We want to hear the voice of the youth. You can choose to design your poster on portrait or landscape format. Remember your font size at 10 points minimum. The contest is a little different this year. We want more kids to win at a state level. So this is what we're going to do. Now at level 1, you can only work 4 in a team. And if you are a Star NiE subscription school, you will get co-curriculum certificates like these ones. Okay, how many of you received these certificates last year? The teachers as well as the students. Yes, you're supposed to get your COCO certs if you're NiE schools. And these qualify you for COCO points because it's signed by the Ministry of Education. What happens at the second level? we have the merit category. So for example, Selangor, there will be a chance for 5 teams to win the merit award. If your school is located in KL, you will be up against Labuan, Kuala Lumpur, and Putrajaya. That's considered another state. Selangor is another category. 5 best entries, and you will get your COCO certs and a 100 ringgit meal voucher to go treat yourselves. We're going to pick the outstanding team. So out of the state of Selangor, there will be 5 merit, and we're going to pick 1 team that's going to be the outstanding team. We're going to go to your school during assembly, and we're going to present this mock award. You're going to have your poster up here, and we're going to congratulate your team, have your names, and have your pictures in there. So your school keeps it forever. And not only that, we are going to feature your team in Star Educate. That's our pull-out every Sunday. If you are in the merit category, and once we've shortlisted the best entries, we'll be doing a Skype interview with you before we shortlist. At the national level contest, we're going to pick 6 teams in total, 3 from the primary and 3 from the secondary level. Now bear in mind, there is no more lower secondary and upper secondary. There'll be 1 secondary champion, 1 primary champion, and 4 runners-up teams. At the grand finals, what do you have to do? Primary school, you've got it easy, yeah? Just a 5-minute PowerPoint presentation. And the champs go to Universal Studios Singapore. And the runners-up, each member wins a 1,000 ringgit Samsung phone voucher, sponsored by the Star. Now, for the secondary level, what you have to do next is convert that message into a 1-minute video PSA based on the same message. And you will have about 1 month only to do that. After your presentation, the panel of judges will ask you questions. And the way you answer and carry yourself and the confidence you have will play an important role. But before we actually choose the champ, this is what is going to happen. We'll give these 3 teams a chance to get a one-time feedback session with our lecturers who are going to present here shortly on your video idea. So you know how to improve on it, make it better before you actually come in for the grand prize. Now, the runners-up, again, you get your Samsung phone vouchers. All right, and this is the bonus round. The Star will pick the best 10 teams. And this is what we're going to do. We are going to approach our strong NIE supporters, companies like NASA, for instance, okay? And we are going to do some sale for you. We're going to pitch your PSA message to these companies as Merdeka Day ads. Do you know why we are rushing now? Okay? If your message resonates with the company, if they like your message, then they are going to use your ad as the Merdeka Day ad. For example, something like this, yeah? And a surprise will be in store for your school. I'm not going to tell you what it is just yet. When we run your ad, what we'll do at the bottom is we'll give you the recognition. We'll mention your name and your school as well. Timeline. Remember we said we're rushing all this for Merdeka Day? So it's very important. You get your contest template on the 8th or the 22nd. We're publishing this twice. For teachers, the online registration opens on April 22nd, and the contest closes on June 19th. If you send in your entries late, you might just miss the shortlisting. So teachers, help us pick the best 3 entries, and even if you have 5 and you can't think, then give us the 5 entries. We will begin the shortlisting almost immediately, and we'll Skype for the potential grand prize winners, and of course the secondary team. As I mentioned, you'll have about 1 month to put your PSA together. We're targeting doing this in line with Merdeka Day, so the contest finals will be in around Merdeka, 31st of August, or by 16 September. All right, this is our contest website. It'll be up and running by April 8th, tomorrow. You can get all these pointers and more on the website, including the rules and regulations.
And if you look at the title again, no surprise here, it's about public service announcements, and you see that question mark, so perhaps that's the question mark in your heads. And what we'll try and do today in the next hour is to turn that question mark into an exclamation mark. I know what to do, I know what it is, and I know how to go about it. Do you know that if you see like 3, 4, 5 words in a row, that the best way to read it is backwards? Do you know that little trick? So let's do this. It's an announcement. It's going to be pretty much like an advertisement or a poster. Then it's service. It's an announcement in the service of the general public. We can always learn a lot from good examples. So we try to create awareness for people who may be unaware or ignorant. If you look at the one with all the tombstones, it's sort of striking the fear into our hearts. And actually, this is a very, very powerful way of appealing to people. How can I get people's attention? If you look at this triangle, you see that there are different ways of reaching out and connecting or closing the gap with the audience. Emotions is one of them, and a story is actually a way of packaging emotions. So that's a very strong strategy in trying to communicate a particular message. We can call it the heart, if you like. And then there is the head, which is more of the logical way, the reasoning, the argumentation. Let's say recycle more or do something about awareness around human trafficking, so I can use facts and figures. Facts and figures are also important in establishing credibility. Who are you talking to me? I would like to know who you are. And that kind of authority comes from certain moral standards, from a certain expertise, which takes you to the top, right? Are you a trustworthy source? So as you will be working on designing your PSA, you're probably going to come up with either a strong dominant appeal, which could be the emotional one, or maybe the logical one, but you can also mix in, blend in elements to do with credibility. Let's have a few examples now.
Remember these 3 words, pathos, ethos, logos. We don't have to get into the technicalities of each and every one of these. But what we're trying to do here now is just to illustrate that when you create your PSAs, it would be beneficial to have an appeal attached to this work of yours. With the first one here, you have a king. And the king is a person of authority. Now, when you want to establish credibility, now you need a person of authority to probably say something. Now, the next one here, pathos, speaks about, it's all about the heart, emotions. You want to evoke some emotions. It can be through your illustrations. It can be through the text that you write on your PSAs. And the next one here is logos, or rather the last one, which is all about logic. So we have already established that fact. If you are going to employ the ethos appeal, have probably a celebrity, a man in uniform. And moving on with pathos, it's always nice to have something that get people to feel. And how do you do that again? As we mentioned, through these images that you are going to be using, incorporating into your PSAs. And with logo, it's all about logic, it's all about reasoning. Now, we're going to test you. Please get your clickers ready. What exactly do you see there? These are pieces of a ais kacang cendol machine. Now, these are bits and pieces everywhere. And what does it say at the bottom? It says, they only work together. Ethos, pathos, logos. Key in your responses now. Okay, we have 45. Let's look at the response. Is the answer logos? With the next ad here, you recognize some of these personalities. And we don't need to elaborate further. Key in your response. Now with this PSA, 43 groups have selected ethos as the answer. You are right. We go on to the last one. Dawn breaks to the echoes of its rhythm, and then it goes on. There's something that's going on when you read the body copy. And let's see. If you have selected pathos, that is the correct answer. Very good.
We always go in our creative design, in our thinking, also in our writing, from many, many, many things, many, many, many choices to only a few. At the end of the day, you can only have one headline. At the end of the day, you can only choose one picture, so it better be the best one you have. So all the clutter, everything else has been removed. It's the rule of space. Make sure that you have a message that stands out like this one. Let's look at the next one. That's the first of these principles, understanding the theme. Character building message. What does it mean to be united as a nation? What does that mean? And I would like to give you a few minutes in your teams to write down as much as you can associate with the meaning of this, to be united as a nation.
We are going to dedicate all our energy and effort towards, that's where you fill in the blanks. So to inspire you this morning, we want you to think out of the box.
And you see, if you look at the picture again, you see a certain hesitancy there. I'm not saying reluctance, but it's good to know, and that's what you see when you look at the cube here, the dice, that we often have an audience that may not be fully aware, a little hostile towards the problem, and you need to educate them. Try to visualize, and you write that down, because at all times, as you are crafting your message and making all those difficult choices, who is your target reader and your target viewer? To harness something means to use it, to utilize it. So what we need to do is to utilize the strengths. These are the well-known roles: somebody who will plan things, follow through, organize, motivate you. Then you may have people on the execution side, the writers and the illustrators. And then there is also somebody who links this one to the previous rule, which is doing a lot of research. On the team, at least one person or perhaps two who are really going to Google things, look at encyclopedias, the library, ask questions as well. Try to find out what resonates perhaps with your target audience. What we do not want you to do is this. I just go to Google Images, I key in a word like unity, and this is what I'm going to get. I challenge you, and this is what I did. You can scroll through thousands of these pictures. They're always going to be pretty much the same. Creativity is about being original. It's about being different. So I'd like to challenge every single team in this hall to do something which is fresh, new, not seen before, but which captures your message beautifully. Put your mind into a different gear by, for example, when you analyze the theme, looking at a simple dictionary or thesaurus and look for synonyms. And if you see the synonyms for unity, you can see things like symphony and symmetry and some other words. And this may sort of spark off new ideas. And if you go back to Google Images and you key in those, you'll be getting a slightly different range of visualizations.
And this is where we are going to look at creating a very, very strong message. Your audience would probably only have 5, 10, 15 seconds at most. You want to make sure that your message is so strong that it is capable of changing mindsets. You're changing attitudes. That's what the objective of a PSA is all about. Gives us a little bit like an anatomy of a PSA. So here we have the headline. Now the headline has to be an attention-grabbing headline, and more often than not, a headline would be a little bit bigger in size as opposed to the other text in your PSA. And then followed by your body copy, which is the story that you are getting across. You may want to include a tagline. A tagline is almost like a slogan, if you like, but there's a small catch here. And the catch goes like this: maximum 100 words. Step 5 tells us all about visuals. If you look at the illustration on the left-hand side, you've got a representation of 3 races there, all coming together. And there's so much that we can learn from our children. There's a proton emblem on that little car, a toy car. Ideas that you can just, it's all available at your backyard, if I may.
If I have a bent picture, quote unquote, then make a straight headline. If your headline is a little bit creative, if you wish, then make sure you have a visual that makes it easy and the viewer or the reader can actually work out the meaning. Don't confuse the reader too much by excess creativity. That's one comment. Second comment, How many people in the picture over here? 3. Odd numbers give drama, they give dynamic. The number of people in the other picture is over here. How many? 8. Even number. An even number creates a pattern, some sort of a evening out, a sort of repetition. Please remember that simple is, it gets your attention instantaneously. So it's about being focused. It's about keeping things narrowly focused on this one strong message. Usually we don't try and have more than 5 colors. And as for the fonts, 3 will do. I like this one a lot. The eyes is a face. People respond to faces. So if you think about pictures, don't show the back of a person's head if you can help it. Show a person looking at you or looking somewhere. Eyes are very expressive. The flag, I think in Malaysia as in many other countries, is a very powerful, strong emblem. Fonts, I think there are only 2, maybe 1. Do you miss like the other 600 fonts you can use? No, because that would get in the way of the message. And then the handwriting sort of completes it.
Each time you have a draft, test that out with your targeted audience. Show them your work. Get some feedback from them, because at the end of the day, they are the actual recipients of your message. Okay? At the end of the day, when you feel that the message is strong, everything works, the visuals, the text, the color, the font, and then when you feel you're ready for submission, you would feel good about it, okay? How many steps in total are there in developing a PSA? Now I see we already have almost 40 responses. Very good. There are 6 steps in total.
Some of our friends and colleagues put together a wonderful 3-minute instructional video you may want to check out later. It gives you additional examples, it gives you additional explanations of these rules and all these tips and techniques that go into making a very strong and effective PSA. But I think we're ready to wind down, or rather to gear up for the next stage, which is to continue the hands-on. You've done a little bit of prep work already. So we would like to use the next 10-15 minutes to see how far you can go in designing your initial ideas, giving it a certain shape,